A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In an unprecedented development, Ukraine and Russia are preparing for their first direct peace talks in over 3 years, set to take place in Istanbul on May 15th. This comes after a series of escalating tensions and failed negotiations since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. The stakes are high as both nations grapple with the consequences of a conflict that has claimed tens of thousands of lives and resulted in significant territorial changes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has boldly challenged Russian President Vladimir Putin to join him in person for these crucial discussions, but recent announcements indicate that Putin may not attend, potentially diminishing the talks' significance. The backdrop to these negotiations is complex. On May 7th, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance emphasized that direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine should be prioritized, a sentiment echoed by European leaders and Zelensky himself, who called for a 30-day ceasefire starting on May 12th. In a late-night announcement, Putin suggested that a ceasefire could only be achieved through negotiations, effectively putting pressure on Zelensky to engage. Zelensky is the only leader who has confirmed his presence in Turkey, which raises questions about the potential outcomes of the talks. If Putin does not attend, it could be interpreted as a sign of weakness, reinforcing Zelensky's narrative that the Russian leader is afraid to confront him directly. Conversely, if Putin does show up, it could be seen as an acknowledgement of Zelensky's legitimacy, undermining one of Moscow's long-standing claims that the Ukrainian government is illegitimate due to its Western support. Political analysts suggest that the dynamics of these talks are fraught with challenges. According to Alexander Friedman, a political observer, Putin's attendance would signify a defeat for him, as it would imply a willingness to negotiate with a leader he has often dismissed. On the other hand, Putin's absence could fuel speculation about his reluctance to engage, further complicating the narrative surrounding the conflict. Adding to the intrigue, former U.S. President Donald Trump has hinted at a potential trip to Turkey during the talks, raising the stakes even higher. Trump stated, "There's a possibility there, I guess, if I think things can happen," suggesting that U.S. involvement could play a critical role in shaping the negotiations. Despite the high hopes for progress, analysts remain skeptical about the likelihood of a breakthrough. Russia has consistently maintained maximalist demands, including control over territories it unilaterally declared as part of its territory in September 2022. The Kremlin's insistence on negotiating from a position of strength complicates the prospects for a genuine peace agreement. Experts like Tatiana Stanovaya from the Carnegie Russia-Eurasia Center argue that neither side is prepared to make the necessary concessions for a lasting peace. Both Moscow and Kiev are entrenched in their positions, and the prospect of a durable agreement seems remote at this stage. The anticipated talks are expected to resemble previous negotiations that failed to yield significant results, with Russia seeking to reinforce its claims over occupied territories. As the world watches closely, the outcome of these talks could have far-reaching implications not only for Ukraine and Russia but also for global geopolitical dynamics. Analysts suggest that if these discussions falter, it could lead to renewed tensions and further escalation of the conflict, particularly if one side is perceived as obstructing the peace process. In conclusion, while the upcoming peace talks in Istanbul represent a significant moment in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the path to resolution remains fraught with uncertainty. The potential for a historic breakthrough exists, but it is equally possible that the talks could end in stalemate, prolonging a war that has already caused immense suffering and upheaval. As both nations prepare for this pivotal moment, the international community is left to ponder the implications of their decisions and the future of peace in the region. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.